Hey everybody, welcome back to the 31 Days of Halloween. Today is day 29. And I decided to watch Green Room. This is kind of a movie that has been on my radar for a long time. I've asked a couple people about it. They all seem to have liked it. So, I finally decided to give it a try. It stars Patrick Stewart, which is, the most well-known actor in the movie. I mean, he's classically trained actor, so anything he's in is good. He is good in. And then Anton Yelchin, and then there's, supporting cast, obviously. And the movie is about a punk rock group who are they're on tour, and they're, in the beginning of the movie, you see them siphon gas, so, they're obviously on a very, very tight budget, or no budget at all. And they have a show that they're going to, and it turns out it's kind of a flop. And so they get mad at the promoter, I guess. And he's like, hey, I got a show for that you guys can go to. You'll get paid $350 and, it'll work out for you guys. And you're like, all right. So he sends them to this club. And this club is a Nazi skinhead club. And so they're like, man, this shit's whack, all that kind of stuff. And they play, what's the name of that song? Fuck Nazi punks. Something like that. I know the song. I used to really be into punk rock when I was in high school. As soon as I heard him play that song, I was like, oh, I can't remember who it is. Maybe it's Dead Kennedys, I don't remember. But anyway, and so they kind of piss off the crowd, and then they kind of gain the crowd back with their music later on. And then after they're done performing, they go back to the green room, and a guy comes up to the green room, and he's like, hey, come on, follow me. And one of the guys forgets something. The girl forgets her cell phone, and one of the guys goes back to get it. And when he goes in the room, someone had stabbed someone in the head. And they're like, oh. And so he hurries up and calls 911, and then shit breaks loose. Like, they end up putting them in the kind of forcing them into the green room, like, hey, we'll call the cops. And then they kind of stage their own stabbing, and they say that was a stabbing that he called in, and then they try to kind of, figure out a way to cover everything up, and part of that is kind of dispatching this band. And, that's really the whole movie. I mean, it's, and them trying to survive, get out of the room, that's the movie. It's not really a horror movie in the sense that we're kind of normal to. It's more of kind of like a personal horror, I guess. It's kind of like a siege movie in some ways. The whole, there was a lot in this movie where I was like, man, this is like, the venue that they shot in had to have been a real venue with just some props, some kind of, flags and stuff like that, because it looked just like venues I'd been in like Chicago and stuff. And this movie hit a lot of, points, when I was younger, I remember, bands, just traveling to different crowds, the kind of skinhead stuff I knew, there's some stuff in the movie that, if you didn't know, are, bootlaces and different color bootlaces that mean different things if you're in the kind of skinhead culture. And, one of them, at one point, the guy gives one of the guys a red laces. And red laces mean that you've basically made someone bleed, is essentially what it is. And that's, I picked up on all that stuff. And somebody who's not used to kind of that scene could still enjoy this movie, because it's, all that stuff's very surface level. They don't go very deep with any of it. Even the red laces thing, I think anybody who doesn't know anything about that kind of culture would know, what's going on with that scene anyway. There's something about this movie that I couldn't get into. I can't explain it. I'm sure other people would really enjoy this movie because it's very well shot. The special effects are very good. I think it just drags in certain points. There's scenes with a lot of action when they try to get out of the room, and then the skinheads siege them, and then they have to go back into the room. So there's a couple times where they go out, some people get killed, they go back in. They go out, some people get killed, they go back in. It happens a couple times like that. And I think maybe that's the thing that gets me about this movie, is that the pacing for a traditional movie just feels off. But, like I said, acting's all good. Patrick Stewart's really good. Anton Yelchin is really good. The special effects are really good. Some of the kills are pretty crazy. Obviously the kills aren't like something insane, like Friday the 13th or Halloween or something like that where they're inventive. It's just, shotgun to the face or, whatever. Dogs. They have dogs in the movie too. All around it's pretty solid. It just didn't work necessarily for me for whatever reason. And I can't put my finger on it. It's just one of those kind of intangibles when you watch a movie and you just feel like it's a little bit off and you don't know why, But, I highly recommend this for people to watch because it's a perfectly good movie. Like, for me, I'll give it a 3. If I had really enjoyed it and had a lot of fun with it, it probably would have gotten at least a 3.5, 4. But for me, because I know other people would really get into it, I'm giving it a 3. Because it comes to kind of a satisfying conclusion. They wrap up everything for the most part. Good acting, good effects. There's not a whole lot to complain about in this movie, to be honest. It's all very accurate for the scene. If you're into the punk rock scene, you'll probably really like this movie. Especially if you were into it back then and still into it now, you'd really enjoy it. So, yeah, I'll give it a 3. I'll give it a solid 3. And that was day 29. And that was Green Room, starring Anton Yelchin and Patrick Stewart. So, last night, I was on the Beneath the Dirt podcast. We talked about, ICP, Twisted, King Gordy, Hobson, all that stuff. If you're into kind of that underground rap scene, kind of horrorcore, check that out. It's on Beneath the Dirt's channel. I'll link it in the description. I'm still working on my retrospective. I've actually gotten in contact with a couple more people, and I actually have some footage from a couple people. Well, a person. So, it's coming together. Not sure when that's going to get released. Hopefully soon. It probably won't happen soon. I hope it would be soon, but it probably won't be soon. There's still people I want to contact, and I got to round all this stuff up and then edit it. So, it might not come out by the end of the year. It might be pushed to next year, depending on how quickly people get all their footage into me. But that does it for day 29. I don't really want to drag this out too much longer than it already is. Thank you guys for watching. Like the video. Subscribe if you haven't already. And I'll see you guys tomorrow.